as luck would have it, we have the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband, joining us now. Of course, passionate environment campaigner. Mr Miliband, I'm sure you're delighted to begin this interview talking about how often you wash your pants. But there is a serious environmental point, isn't there? And we've had a huge reaction from people this morning saying, for goodness sake, you know, we're struggling to pay our bill. Now we're not even allowed to wash our clothes. Is this something that you would support, this French piece of research?
I'm not campaigning on this issue. 30 days for your It's that you have to wear them 30 times before you wash them.
Yes. You don't do that, do you, sir?
I am quite, and I'm 3 days of your gym kit. I'm not. That's going to smell pretty nasty, I think.
That's what I think. I'm with you on that issue, but everybody else apparently says I'm too clean, which is a shock to us all.
I shall go and read the research, Kate, and see if I can sort of work out what I should be doing.
What the real policy might be on it. OK. Well, look, let's talk, first of all, about the economy. You know, for a government that has staked everything on economic growth, I think Rachel Reeves, in her last big speech, talked about growth 56 times in one speech. How depressing, how much does it feel like a failure that the forecast for growth has gone from 1.5% to 0.75%? It feels desperate to people if that's the magic answer to getting us out of this mess.
Well, look, the figures go up and down. I think it is worth saying that people's the statistics on wages show they're rising faster than inflation, faster than they've done for 3 years. So that is important to say. And obviously the bank cut interest rates. But these figures go up and down. We're focused on how we can grow our economy. In my area of clean energy, whether it's driving forward with offshore wind or carbon capture and storage or building the grid transmission we need, that's creating lots of jobs and therefore contributing to economic growth. So we know we've got more work to do on this, Kate, and that's what the Bank of England figures show.
The problem is, though, isn't it, that all the solutions that the government is talking about, and you've just mentioned some there, are over a period of 5, 10, possibly longer years. The pain is being felt now.
That's a fair point, but, you know, I'd say a couple of things. First of all, you know, we didn't say at the election everything's going to turn around straight away. Keir Starmer said many, many times we need a decade of national renewal and it's going to take time. You judge a government over 5 years and that's what people will do. And look, you know, what I'm focused on, I'm talking about this today, is how we can make people better off, make people's lives easier. And we're talking today about raising energy efficiency standards for private renters in a way to cut their energy bills. It's the right thing for the planet, but more importantly, it's the right thing today for working people. And that's where this government's focus is.
So Keir Starmer has reaffirmed his pledge to reducing energy bills by £300 in 5 years' time. How is he going to be able to do that and keep us on the environmental targets? How have you resolved that in your mind?
Well, look, that was a pledge for 2030, up to £300 off bills from our clean power plants. And this is precisely the point. It's our dependence on fossil fuels that is seeing energy bills rising and continuing to rise. So you see, what you've seen is what's happening in the world is raising fossil fuel prices. That then hits families here. That's what happened in the cost of living crisis. I'm afraid it's happening again in our country because we're seeing significant rises in fossil fuel prices. The only way through that is homegrown clean power we control. Things like offshore wind, onshore wind, solar power, because we set those prices for 15 years in advance, and it's got stability, and that's really, really crucial, because at the moment we're stuck on this roller coaster of fossil fuel prices controlled by the decisions of petrostates and dictators around the world.
Miliband, nobody would deny, in fact, quite the opposite, that you're anything other than a passionate, well, clear, not just campaigner, but advocate of net zero. You know, one of the few, perhaps people might say, conviction politicians left in politics. You wanted the Green New Deal. Now, it's very difficult to understand this. You know, that was cut before you came into government from 28 billion now, and there's very little left. The Rosebank North Sea oil project is to be waved through. Rachel Reeves and Sir Keir Starmer have been clear about that. You described that as, and I'm quoting, a colossal waste of money and climate vandalism. And it turns out at the beginning of the week you didn't show up at the press conference, but it looks like the runway at Terminal 5, the new runway, is going to open. Again, in 2009, you said that you would resign if that was built. It's very difficult to see, given your activism, given your clear view, and given what your leader says and the Chancellor, how you can continue to stay in Cabinet.
I don't find it so, Rob. I mean, there's quite a lot in there. But, I mean, look, basically, on oil and gas, there's proper processes we're going to have to go through before any decisions get made on things like the project that you're talking about. On aviation expansion, let's see what Heathrow comes forward with, but it's got to meet our carbon budgets, which are the sort of green budgets, if you like financial budgets that we have as a country.
Sorry to interrupt you. The reports make clear that the emissions are such. We're already at a stage this year through aircraft that they're the highest emissions, and that's only going to get more as the year goes on. How are they going to meet those standards? I mean, the answer is it can never meet the standards. And consequently, if the runway does get built and they go ahead, will you resign?
No, I'm not resigning, no. Look, I'm fighting for doing the right things as a country. But I think the thing I'd say to you is that, and it's really important to say this to your viewers, aviation now is part of these carbon budgets. So any decisions we make on aviation expansion will have to meet these budgets. And let's see what Heathrow comes forward with. The decision is some way off on that. But look, overall what we're doing, Rob, is we're driving forward on the things that will not only save the planet, but help people now. Things like lifting the onshore wind ban, consenting lots of solar power around the country, driving forward, as I said earlier, in carbon capture and storage. All of these things, and this is the point, I think, all of these things are the right thing for future generations, but they're also the right thing for people today, and that's what we're focused on as a government.
Is it fair to say that Labour is having a PR nightmare at the moment? You're down in the polls. The public perception in terms of polls and research is that you can't stick to your promises and that there's an element of hypocrisy, that word is being used, coming in. I want to talk about the photographer and photography and the appointment of a public photographer. You criticised David Cameron as hiring a photographer. You said it was a bad use of money, and yet it's caused a huge fuss that now one's been hired for this government.
I mean, this is genuine nonsense, Kate. Look, the point is, when I came into the department, there's somebody who does videos and photos that go on social media, and communicating with people on social media is part of the job. That person's leaving that job, so they're hiring someone to replace them. I mean, honestly, genuinely, this is a sort of fuss about nothing.
Although I do note that after there was a fuss last time, David Cameron said, well, it's not going to be funded by the state, it'll be funded by the party. Is that your plan moving forward?
No, look, the point is that the department has had for a long time somebody who, you know, part of modern communication in politics is communicating by coming on GMB, but it's also all of the other ways you can communicate with people. And it's really, really important that we do that and explain what we're doing, how people can benefit from our plans, and that's what this is all about.
Good to speak to you this morning.
Thanks so much.
Ms. Miliband, good to speak to you.